Coming up on Mountain News at 6, a former Floyd County educator is sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. We'll have reaction from her victims. And family and friends say their final goodbyes to a former police chief and the founder of Ambulance Incorporated in Laurel County.
Plus, after some cool weather today, we are tracking some 70s by Sunday and Monday. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Former Floyd County educator April Bradford was sentenced to 3 years and 6 months in prison today. Bradford pleaded guilty to sexual assault back in November. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox has reaction from the victims.
A lot of emotion was poured into the courtroom. Jessica Hensley and Mary Prater faced April Bradford, who pled guilty to sexually assaulting them when they were students.
Real tough. It wasn't as tough for me. I felt a lot of anger, and it felt good to, even though she wouldn't look at us, I felt good to look at her, to let her know that we're not those scared little girls anymore.
I was such an outgoing, talkative, smart,
Hensley and Prater delivered victim impact statements. They have become more open about the pain they have faced.
I knew, in my mind, I always planned on waiting to come forward when someone else did, you know, to validate their claim. I never thought that it would happen like this.
Hensley said she felt Bradford did not have any remorse.
Because she doesn't think what she done was wrong. But I'm sorry, anyone that wants to have sex with a child is disturbed.
Bradford will serve 3 years and 6 months in prison. She is also now a registered sex offender. Hensley says they are glad that time in prison has not already been chipped away.
I mean, if she would have served house arrest, then it would have, you know, taken away from what she had to serve in prison behind bars. Metaphorically speaking, you know, we have been behind bars for years. So, so she deserves to be physically behind bars.
Bradford's attorney told WYMT they have no comment on the sentencing. In Prestonsburg, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
And a short time ago, we also received a release from the Office of Attorney General Russell Coleman about this. He said, quote, "The offenders who exploit children inflict painful damage that lasts long beyond the time of their crimes. We in law enforcement must continue adapting to protect our young people from these predators. I'm grateful to Ms. Prater and Ms. Hensley, who used their powerful stories to ensure justice was done. These are women of incredible courage who can inspire others to prevent this abuse in the future." Police in Laurel County are asking for help identifying a theft suspect, and here's a picture of that suspect. The person is wanted for theft and vandalism off Wise Owl Road, about 8 miles from London. If you have any information about this case, you can contact the Sheriff's Office at 606-864-6600. A bill regulating adult businesses and sexual performances has cleared a Senate panel. Senate Bill 147 says adult-oriented bookstores, theaters, and other places where performances take place have to be at least a city block's distance, or 933 feet, from parks, libraries, schools, daycares, and other places a lot of children would be. Supporters say statewide regulation is needed to protect kids. Opponents say it's an attack on the drag queen art form and the LGBTQ community.
And like I said, I think most Kentuckians would be surprised that there's not a baseline of protections for adult-oriented businesses and performances.
Why did we have to even put drag in there? Why don't we just put adult performances? Sexually explicit, nudity.
The bill passed 9-2 in committee and now goes to the full Senate. Yesterday, we told you about a bill being introduced to get rid of daylight saving time in Kentucky. On our website, we're asking if the state should do away with daylight saving time, and it looks like the majority of you say yes right now, about 75%. If you've not voted, you can go to WYMT.com and vote until tomorrow at 4 p.m. Yesterday, Kentucky Senior Senator Mitch McConnell announced he is stepping down as the Republican leader in the Senate. Some local leaders have given us their thoughts on McConnell's decision. Here's part of a statement from London Mayor Randall Weddle. He said, quote, "I want to express my deep appreciation for Senator Mitch McConnell's distinguished service as the leader of the Republicans in the Senate. Under his leadership, we've seen unparalleled dedication toward advancing the interests of Kentuckians and Americans across the nation. I extend my best wishes to Senator McConnell as he enters this next chapter of his public service." And here's what Corbin Mayor Susie Rasmus had to say, quote, "I begin by offering my heartfelt condolences to the leader and Secretary Chow in the loss of her sister. The leader has been a longtime personal friend and a tremendous supporter of southeastern Kentucky. During my time as mayor, he has been instrumental in helping Corbin move forward. His influence in Washington on behalf of the Commonwealth cannot be overstated or duplicated. He will be missed." The governor's office is awarding more than $15 million to 13 counties in Kentucky, 3 of them in our viewing area. The funding is for job growth as well as site and building development. Laurel County is receiving nearly $2 million for a project. $500,000 will be going toward a project in Pulaski County, and Wayne County is getting nearly $1 million. We'll have more about this and the specifics on the projects at WYMT.com. In Virginia, $700,000 is being awarded for the St. Charles Monarch Waterline Replacement Project. In a release from Congressman Morgan Griffith's office, the project will replace about 9,970 linear feet of water line and install 4 gate valves and 1 fire hydrant, which will serve about 38 households in that area. The funding was awarded by the Appalachian Regional Commission.
We are tracking some cool conditions as we close out February. Most of us are below average on this Thursday in the middle to lower 40s. A live look from I-64 in Rowan County. Traffic is running smoothly. That current temperature sitting at 41 degrees over in Moorhead, 46 in Manchester, 47 in Harlan, 43 over in London at this hour. So you can see most of us are below average. We should be close to 52 and all of us in the 40s at this hour. If you have plans this evening, be sure to grab the jacket. Most of us end up close to freezing in the middle to lower 30s as you wake up on Friday. And speaking of your Friday, some more wet weather is also on the way. But this evening, all thanks to high pressure, we are dry on first alert pinpoint Doppler. But notice as we zoom out, we are tracking that next rainmaker over Texas, also Oklahoma. And this moisture will continue pushing into our direction as we close out the work week on your Friday. So be sure to have the umbrella ready tomorrow as more off and on showers are likely, and we stay unsettled at times into next week. All those details plus the details on a warm weekend coming up in just a little bit. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Hundreds gathered to remember former London Police Chief Bill Smith at his funeral today. WYMT's RJ Johnson shares how people are continuing to honor him.
Friends and family gathered on Thursday to celebrate the life of Bill Smith. He served as London Police Chief and founded Ambulance Inc. of Laurel County. Hobie Doherty with the London Police Department says Smith had an impact on a lot of people throughout his life.
Just to see the amount of lives that he has touched throughout the years and really being in every part of emergency response within Laurel County and helping get that to where we are today. He made one of the giant footprints in leading us to where we are and where we stand today.
Ambulance Inc. of Laurel County Director Jamie Mills says Smith loved his community.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how much Mr. Smith was loved and what type of guy he was. He had his fingerprint on the community at all times. He loved the community, and this goes to show right here.
Smith's granddaughter, Karen Jones, says the most important part of his life was faith.
But I think if you were to ask him, the most important title he held was follower of Christ. Papa spent the better part of 84 years dedicating his life to the Lord. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who knew him that hadn't heard him talk about his Savior.
Saying even in his final moments, he prayed for his family.
He was held up and Papa began to pray. He thanked God for his family. He asked God to bless his family and to bless the hands that prepared that food, and he asked the Lord to be with his family.
For Smith's last ride, it would be in one of the first ambulances for the ambulance service.
It was his special ambulance. One last ride. That's what he wanted, and that's what we'll do today.
And forever remembering Bill Smith. In London, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Smith leaves behind his wife, sister, 3 kids, 7 grandchildren, and 13 great-grandchildren. He was 84 years old.
We are tracking some dry and cool weather this evening, but showers are not far away. They are back by tomorrow. Your forecast after this break. Plus,
because God is trying to get the best out of you.
We'll have part 2 of Trials and Tribulations, a profile of Pastor Ronnie Hampton, who was Lynch's first black mayor, on the final day of Black History Month.